As the affirmative side, our proposition is that all citizens should be required to have their DNA in the national database. First, I'll explain some background information on the topic. DNA is the source of each individual's genetic makeup. The fact that each person's DNA is unique and does not change over time makes it a useful identification tool. This is the sole reason it is used by crime scene investigators as hard evidence in cases, as it is almost always present at a scene. According to Hastings' Science and Technology Law Journal, the molecular structure of DNA was discovered in 1950, and DNA typing was first applied in criminal cases in the 1980s. Moreover, by the turn of the century, all 50 states had established DNA databases for individuals convicted of certain offenses. In 1994, the director of FBI was authorized to establish the following: an index of DNA identification records, analyses of DNA samples recovered from crime scenes, DNA samples recovered from unidentified human remains, and from voluntarily contributed from relatives of missing persons. Our research tells us that the National DNA Database relies on the FBI's CODIS software, which provides a central location of the DNA profiles from all public forensic laboratories throughout the country. Moreover, information from the Hastings Law Journal tells us the local laboratories can maintain their local DNA index system and then upload approved profiles to the state database. The state DNA index system, SDIS, contains profiles from local laboratories in that state, profiles analyzed by the state laboratory itself, and profiles from convicted offenders and arrestees. So I restate, we propose that all citizens should be required to have their DNA in the FBI database. All these, and these are the three main claims. One, the current system of the DNA database is selective and leaves too many cases unsolved. Two, like any technology, DNA databasing can be improved in the current system and is extremely valuable for solving crimes. And three, a DNA database covering the whole population will save massive amounts of police time and money and help clear up crimes faster and more thoroughly. Point one, our current system and DNA database is selective and leaves too many cases unsolved. Each year, 6,000 killers get away with murder in America. That's according to a study of FBI records. If we look at the crimes that leave traces of DNA, murder, rape, stabbings, basically anywhere blood is shed, we see that these crimes tend to be more serial in nature. In 2006, Salt Lake City police found the body of Sonia Mejia, who was pregnant, inside her apartment. She'd been strangled to death. Then 2 years later, on exactly the same date, Damiana Castillo was killed in exactly the same way. Police have a DNA profile linking the murders. We don't have a match for the profile, and the case remains unsolved. We can infer that there is then a killer on the loose right now. We understand that this is just one case, but news reports based on FBI statistics show that somewhere between 35% and 40% of homicides in the U.S. go unsolved in the U.S. today. On to our second point, like any technology, DNA databasing can be improved in the current system and is extremely valuable for solving crimes. DNA is left at the scene of almost every crime. This makes it possible to determine with a national database exactly who was there at the scene and to immediately narrow the list of suspects from potentially thousands. Even if the DNA is not the actual criminals in the case, the hard evidence immediately reveals ties and speeds up the entire investigation process. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, when used to its full potential, DNA evidence will help solve and may even prevent some of the nation's most serious violent crimes. However, the current federal and state DNA collection and analysis system needs improvement, and one of those reasons is more research is needed to develop faster methods for analyzing DNA evidence. That is from the Department of Justice. Moreover, the current system only has DNA profiles from people who have already committed a crime, but does not account for the people who have not yet been incriminated. The truth we must face is that anyone is capable of committing a crime. And this is according to the California Penal Code, section 25-298. And it really comes down to weighing values of what is best for the safety of all of us and future generations, or personal privacy, where it shouldn't be a concern at all. Provided we have already registered personal info with the government, we have, whether or not we know it, gained their trust to a degree. Lastly, our third point is the database covering the whole population will save massive amounts of police time and money and help clear up crimes faster and more thoroughly. I pointed out before that the U.S. Department of Justice states more research is needed to develop faster methods This is what we precisely accomplish with our proposition. The marginal cost of analyzing new DNA samples continues to fall as technology improves, says the department, cutting the amount of time within the investigation process so perpetrators are identified immediately. Also save money normally spent on excessive testing, as well as resources with equipment, materials, various court trials, and so forth. In addition, our proposition will dramatically increase the accuracy of the current system to prevent false DNA profile matches, known as a cold hit. Hastings Science and Technology Law Journal says because cold hits represent a query for matches among thousands of DNA profiles rather than for a specific suspect, many statisticians argue that the relevant question is, what is the likelihood that the database will spit out an innocent person's name? Sir Alec Jeffreys, the original inventor of DNA typing, has warned that when extremely large databases such as CODIS undergoes large numbers of exploratory searches, even exceptionally rare matches will occur. In 1996, report titled The Evaluation of Forensic DNA Evidence, the National Research Council concluded that database match probably should be used to explain the significance of a cold DNA match. The proposed national DNA database makes it much more possible to find, try, and convict criminals, to execute justice, and to protect other citizens. The affirmative plan of action of the status quo system will go on as usual, and the new system will complement it by identifying potential suspects sooner. A DNA database covering the whole population can be done while maintaining the current profiles within the database, which includes past and present criminals. As the affirmative, we propose that at birth it will be mandatory for all persons to supply a DNA sample for the records. The general public will register much like we do now. The DMV, voter registration, medical evaluations, or registering for a passport. For anyone who fails to comply to the new system, may be denied benefits or a job if they have not registered. Sam West, an average citizen, said that on a BBC article in 2009 that he had his DNA recorded. He said he didn't really mind at the time and has no problem with them keeping his DNA profile indefinitely. He said he would have thought that only people worried about this happening are those who think that they may be likely to commit a crime in the future. He appreciates that there is a case for innocent until proven guilty, but if you're innocent, why worry? Moreover, personal information is already held by groups in the private sector. And if people can trust the private sector, then they should be able to trust the government.